Hello and welcome back to Empires and Puzzles with Tom
Hannah?
and this will be the third part of our war guide, clan war guide, in which we are
Yep.
going to be talking about mostly individual attacks and how you should plan your individual attacks, how to be the most efficient with them. So the first thing I want to emphasize here is that you always need to realize that using your flags in the right way, in an efficient way, is a key to winning the war, right? And this is more or less what this video is going to be all about. The links to the other two parts of this guide will be in the description of this video, so scroll down below to see it. And if you want to get more materials like this, remember to subscribe to the channel and like the video below. Okay, now off to the points that we have. What is your nose? Sniffing?
A little.
Running nose? Alright, so the first thing is something, I just want to remind something that we have already touched in a previous video. Attack in waves to maximize the kills on weaker players, right? So you remember, Hannah, when we were talking about not pulling or not defeating the whole board at the beginning, but just focusing on weaker
Yep.
players, then waiting 6 hours, then killing weaker
Yes.
players again, right? So that you can use more flags on the weaker players instead of using them on stronger players, right?
Yep.
In the idea is that this will give you a better chance of scoring more points, right? Because maybe you will be able to kill someone with just one flag instead of using 2 or 3 or or 4, like over here on a guy called DBLD, right?
Yep.
We've used 4 flags and he's still not dead, so we will have to use 5 flags on a guy that is really not that strong. So this is what we want to avoid, definitely.
Yep.
Then another one is choose targets that you can kill. Why do you think that is important?
Because then you'll use just one flag again.
Yeah, exactly, right?
And if you use one flag and kill somebody, then you can use another flag and kill someone else. And if you'll choose an opponent that you are not sure if you can beat, then maybe you'll need 2 flags, and then you'll kill just one opponent with 2 flags.
Yeah, exactly right. So sometimes you don't have a choice, right? So
Well, yeah.
sometimes there are only strong opponents. You have to use your flags because maybe it's the end of war, maybe you're leaving and you won't be able to play later on. Then you just go with
Yeah.
what you have. But if you have a choice, then you should always aim for the opponent that gives you a good chance to die with just one attack. You never know if you will be able to kill the opponent or
Well,
not,
yeah, maybe you'll
because the
get
board
terrible tiles.
exactly, maybe the board will be nasty, right? But it's not up to you. What is up to you is to maximize your chances of succeeding, right?
Yep.
At the same time, you also have to remember that it doesn't mean that you go for the weakest players, right? Because you have to also consider
Yes.
your strength in terms of your teammates.
Because if you'll get the weaker players, then you'll, oh, I'll win, so I'll fight the weaker players, and then the weaker players from your team will have to fight the stronger players, and they'll not
Yes.
make it.
Yes, so
Probably.
this is also something you have to consider, right? How strong
Yeah.
players do you need to attack so that other teammates from your clan will get the opponents on their level more or less as
Yep.
well, right? All right, the next one is don't underestimate already cracked teams. What does that mean? Well, that means that if we have a team that has already been damaged, let me see if we have any over here. No, not currently, right? So the only
Yep.
one is actually this, but this is quite easy to finish off now because there's just Freya
Yeah.
and she's on half health. But sometimes you will get a team, for example, that is missing only one hero,
Or
right? So
like,
still has
like a
four
medal,
heroes.
right?
Yeah, so like a tank hero, and still has 4 heroes alive. And many players, I see that they underestimate such a team, and they are
What's
like
on the master?
underestimate means that they think that they are weaker than they really are. That this team is weaker than it really is. Yes. So then they are thinking, oh, they are missing one hero, so I don't have to pick my good team. I will go, with some 4 stars and some 3 stars, and it's going to be okay. Well, not really. Usually teams that are missing just one hero are still pretty strong. Obviously,
Yeah.
missing a tank is a huge downside for the team, right?
Oh
So it's way
yes.
easier to kill that team. But if your tiles are bad,
Oh,
if you get a bad board, again, you might still need a lot of firepower to finish them
like
off.
Struna, right? If Leanna would be dead,
Hmm.
then this team is pretty strong without Leanna still.
Yes, exactly,
Yes,
right?
Or
Yes.
Senna.
Yes. So this is usually a good advice for players that are somewhere in the middle, right? They are still
Yeah.
using 4-star heroes. Sometimes they are still using 3-star heroes. You need to. I usually say that attacking a team that is missing just one hero, you should think about it as a complete team, and you should always take your heroes, um, thinking that you're attacking actually a full team. Don't
Yeah.
underestimate them, because if you underestimate them, there's a good chance that you will waste a flag, which is always bad for the clan. Okay, something that
Is
we've yeah.
Deeble D?
What you're
Is
talking to me?
Deeble D dead?
Yeah, he is.
Oh.
So something that we've already touched during the previous video: use your weaker players as a second wave force, right? So what that means is that stronger players like me in my clan, we should always attack full teams, right?
Yep.
Because we have a good chance of killing them with one hit. If we are not able to, then we should not attack those teams again,
Yeah,
because we have weaker players in the team who will benefit more from trying to attack those instead, right?
Yep.
Because they will not be able to attack the full teams, but they can use then one of their flags to bring down the enemy that has already been cracked by someone else. So that's what I mean by a second wave force. Don't finish off the enemies that have already been cracked just because you have the flags. Try to attack someone that is still on your level, instead of going lower than you could.
Yeah.
The next one is always aim to kill a tank. If you're fighting, right, and you see that it's
Oh
not
yeah.
going really well, right? You sometimes we have battles like these, right?
Yes.
That in the middle of the battle, I'm like, okay, there's no way we're winning this, right? So then your goal should be to kill the tank at least.
Not somebody else.
Well, if you get a chance to kill someone else, you
Then
should
it's
take
good,
it,
yes.
obviously, right? But killing the tank is actually going to be the most beneficial
Yeah.
to someone else who's going to be, finishing off the guy, because the tank creates a space in the middle, and it allows you to ghost tiles through that, right?
Yep.
And if you kill someone on the left or right side of the tank, it doesn't really create a space to ghost tiles. So then it's harder to bring that team down. So always try to kill the tank first, if you can, obviously. If you can. Okay, the next one is run if you can't do more damage than the enemy can heal. So this is this rule takes place when there is, for example, a field aid here, right?
Yep.
Today we are having an arrow barrage, but sometimes we have field aid, right? So the enemy team is getting healed from time to time. And at some point in battle, for example, you might be already so much, you might have taken already so much damage that they are actually healing faster than you're dealing damage to them, right?
Yep.
And at that point in battle, it's actually better to just flee the battle, leave it, so that the enemy doesn't heal. Because if you let the enemy heal, then someone who is going to finish them off after you will have a harder time. It also is applied to the situation where the enemy has healers, right?
Yep.
And for example, the healer is about to fire off, and you have no way of killing him, you have no way of doing additional damage, then just flee the battle if you know that you're going to lose it anyway, right?
Yep.
I've seen battles where people were fighting, for example, against a team with Albert, like this one, right?
Yeah.
And Albert can revive heroes,
Oh.
right? So, they were fighting, doing pretty well at the beginning, but then it went sideways. Albert is still alive, and, they can see, they are like, maybe I can kill him, maybe not, let's give it a shot. They try, they fail. Albert fires, he resurrects his team or part of his team, he heals them as well, right? And suddenly, instead of just and suddenly you lose the battle, and the next guy that comes to finish him off, instead of fighting just Albert, he needs to fight like 4 heroes again with half health or even more, right?
Yeah.
Because you didn't flee the battle. So this is something that you need to remember and just get out of it if you know that you're going to fail, and the enemy team will just be healing instead. Next one, consider using 2 healers in your team when you're going against arrow barrage and field aid.
Oh, I can see a pretty strong team over here.
Mm-hmm.
There's Telluria, there's Vela, and Ursina. Somebody attacked it, but it didn't do so well.
So this is a cracked team already.
Oh yeah, but
Can
it wasn't.
Yeah, can we go back to the points?
Yep.
All right, consider using 2 healers when you're going against arrow barrage and field aid, right? So
Right.
today we're going against arrow barrage, and arrow barrage damages your heroes quite significantly. Always takes a portion of your health,
Yeah.
proportional portion of your health,
So
right?
it will never kill you.
It will never kill you, but if you're full health, then it hits you for quite a lot, right?
Yep.
And then it makes it easier for the enemies to finish you off. So if you don't have good firepower, and you don't have a very strong team, it's usually smart to take 2 healers. And I have been doing that when my teams were a little bit weaker. So when I was still using some 4 stars
Yeah.
in every of my team, and I didn't have like 3 or 4 5 stars in each team, then I have been going with 2 healers, and I found out that it's really working well for me because it helped me keep myself alive for longer.
Yep.
And I had more chances to finish off the enemy team this way. And the same goes for the field aid, because the field aid, it helps the enemy team to keep alive for longer, right? So if they are being healed more, then you want yourself to be healed more as well. And that's why with field aid, I have been going with 2 healers sometimes as well. And just looking at the results of myself compared to other clanmates, I saw that it's really working quite well. So it might be a good tactics. We don't have to look far from good examples, right? Remember the Wukong
Yeah.
team? We are putting healers over there just to keep us alive, right?
Yep.
So that we can stay alive and finish off enemies one by one, which is a pretty good tactics. But of course, you also have to remember that healers are not the only part of your team. You still need to have hitters, right? Who will be able to
Well,
finish
yeah.
off the enemies. Or in my case, when I'm playing the Wukong is kind of replacing the hitters because he's allowing everyone to hit harder with tiles. All right, the next one is attack players that have 2 heroes of the same color when you are stacking colors, right? So we are playing with stacking colors.
Yep.
We are playing mono teams usually. And that's why we are looking for the enemies that can maximize our chances for winning. So let's see if we can find an example here. I think this is the one with 2 greens, right? Yes,
Yep.
there's Telluria and her name is Evelyn, right?
Yes.
So they have 2 greens. So if I have a red team available, this would be a good target for me, right? Because I might get lucky and I might get red tiles going into Telluria in the middle. That's fine. That's what I'm primarily aiming for. But there is also a chance that I will get 3 tiles on the right side, on the right side going into Evelyn, and I will be able to finish her just with simple 3 tiles.
And this is not a pretty weak team. It's
I mean,
there's Elena, there's Vika.
sure.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, try to choose your teams that you're going against in a smart way. It also makes sense for you to not only look at the colors, but to actually look at the skills that the enemy team's heroes have, right? So, for example, if you don't have any dispellers and the team has a hero that is putting the reflect damage status, then maybe this is not the best target for you, right? Because, for example, let's say again here, right? I would go and Alina fires, right? And
Yeah.
she's reflecting damage now. And I don't have any dispellers that can dispel that status. Well, that might be very painful for me. So I probably don't want to attack her in that case, right? Here, for example, this is a good example too. This guy have also Alina in a costume, and
Oh
he
wow.
also has Ranvir, who is putting the kind of status that Wukong does, right? So very
Yep.
painful. If you can't dispel him, or if you can't kill him before he fires, or you can't dispel him after he fires, then you're screwed, right?
Oh yep.
So these are the things you need to be thinking about, right?
Oh, I
You're
like.
going, for example, against a Gravemaker, right? If you don't
Mm.
have anyone on your team who can dispel your team
Then
to,
you'll
to
burn to
save you
death.
from burning, then you will probably burn to death. So choose your teams in a smart way. The next one is attack targets that are appropriate at your level, right? So I think this is something that we've already talked about a little bit more in the past. Don't try to force your way through stronger teams just because you're thinking, oh, maybe I'll get lucky, right? Remember that
Yeah.
using your flags in the most efficient way is the goal to victory. So you always should aim for teams that you can beat, right? So,
Because you know that there are maybe stronger players that
mm-hmm,
can beat
mm-hmm,
those teams without like, maybe I'll get
yeah.
lucky.
So my experience is that if you have a team of 4,300 strength, it's like within the range of probability of a good chance of winning when you go against this with a team of 4,100, right? So you got 200 points below the strength
Yeah.
of the team that you're attacking. Sometimes you can get even lower, but you have to remember that the lower you go, the bigger the chances that you're going to lose, right? So
Yep.
you don't want the difference between the strength of your attack team and the strength of the defense team to be too much. I'm not saying that you can't beat the defensive team with even 600 points difference. You absolutely can with a good board, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
you need to get lucky to do this, and you can't rely on luck all the time. You have to rely on planning and your skills as well. The next one is build your team based on enemy skills. Okay, so this is something that we've already touched when we were talking about attacking the players that have two heroes of the same color,
Well
right?
yeah.
So this is what I said, what I've mentioned over there, that you have to look at the skills of the enemy and attack the teams that fit, that are the best fit against your own team that you have. And I think the last one for today is for very weak players, consider putting one-star heroes into their defense, right? So
Well,
if you have very weak players in your clan, right, the
yep.
player that are significantly weaker than the rest of your clan, you might consider asking them to have one-star heroes in their
Why?
defenses. I don't think we have any examples like this over here currently. We did it in the past, but I think some of our players just got stronger. Some of our very weak players just left us, or we kicked them out.
Mm-mm.
The idea behind this is that if you use just one-star heroes
Yeah.
and the enemy kills you, and it's probably going to be super easy for them to do that, they will get very little points for you. I think they will get like 21 or 22 points
Mm.
only for killing you, right? And then, they can't keep killing you over and over because of the timer, remember? They will
Yeah.
have to wait 6 hours for the next chance to finish you off. So, if you're the player that has like, four or five or three four-star heroes, no five-star heroes,
Oh.
right? And you will use your strongest team, then the enemy will probably not have any problems killing you anyway,
Yes.
because that's still weak, right? But then, so they will still use just one flag to kill you. And then instead of getting 21 or 22 points, they will get, for example, 40 points for finishing you off.
Mm.
And they still can do it with um, the same ratio, right? So they can still kill you the same amount of time during the
Yep.
war. Doesn't matter what kind of team you're using. So it is actually better in that case to use one-star heroes on your defense, because then you're limiting the number of points they are going to get off you. And and then you want to switch to your good team when you actually have a team good enough to be able to
Yeah.
stop the attacks at least sometimes, right? So, for example, let's look at Lena, right? She's using body in the middle,
Oh yeah.
and body with talents is kind of working pretty decently, right? But, before she was able to get to body, she's been struggling a lot. And at the very beginning, I think she has been using one-star heroes, right?
Mm.
This girl, for example, is using Kashrek, right? Kashrek, again,
Yeah.
it's a 4-star hero. This is quite a weak hero
Yeah, but he
for a
has
defense
Rosanna
team.
and Viveka, so
Yeah, but
it's
she has some good heroes around
yeah.
Kashrek, so it works sometimes. There is also Gohan, our favorite, somewhere over here. Where is she? There she is, right? And
She's
she
dead.
is using body as well with 20 talents.
Really?
And it's working quite well for her. I've seen a lot of wars where people are just bouncing off her defense many times because they underestimate. Oh, they are thinking, oh, she has a 4-star as a tank, so that's going to be easy. Well, Buddy is a pretty decent 4-star, so it's not that easy to bring him down.
Yeah.
So, when you grow and you get at least a decent 4-star hero with talents, you can put then your normal team on defense. But before that, 1-star hero defense is actually probably more beneficial to the whole clan,
Oh,
to the
I
war
would
effort.
like to see something like that.
Well, it's not a spectacular view, nothing to see over there, I guess. Yeah, so to wrap it up, war is a team effort, right? You don't win the war by yourself.
Oh yeah.
You need to plan your attacks keeping in mind that there are other players that are going to have to attack the enemies as well. So you always have to aim to maximize your points, but at the same time, help your teammates to maximize their points too, right?
Yep.
This is what war is all about. And obviously, like in everything that is, every challenge, every how to say it? I lost the word.
Mm.
Every event that happens in Empires and Puzzles, you always have to think about moving the tiles in the right way, right, to get the best
Yes.
result out of the board. But this is a story for a completely different video. All right, that is all for the war tactics. I hope you guys liked it. I hope, Hannah, you've learned a lot.
Yeah.
Don't think I'm going to allow you play my wars for me. No way.
No, no, no,
No,
no,
no,
no.
no
I
way.
don't want.
So this is it. Thanks a lot for listening and watching, and see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye.